All right. Thank you. Thank you, Creator. Thank you, Creator, for this opportunity that you give me every day to try to be a light and serve and my brethren, my fellow faithists, and to share the light of your word with anyone who is interested. And thank you, Creator, for this opportunity. I'm asking that you'll help me, that you'll give me something to say, that I might encourage and just make clear to your children, your sons and daughters, what the will of your word says, and to recognize where we are and how you see us and how you help us, and help me to be a minister to my brethren, to speak clearly, speak plainly, speak simply the things that you are teaching me, so that we can separate from the world. That's what I'm asking for, Creator. And I hope that you use my channel to glorify yourself. I believe that you will, and I'm glad. And so thank you, and be with me as I try to do this video, and give me wisdom, give me insight, and I pray the same for my brethren. Creator, please, I'm asking. Thank you. All right, brethren, thank you. Welcome to my channel. My name is Yaiquab Ben Yisrael. Hey, Asenath, where you been? Good to see you, sis. Where you been? Man, you disappeared on us. But good to see you. Glad you're here. So anyway, my name is Yaiquab Ben Yisrael. Welcome to my channel. It's a channel for certain brethren, for certain people all over the world. They're called faithists. They subscribe to the OAHSPE Bible, the OAHSPE Bible. It is the newest revelation of the Creator. It's not for, sadly to say, it's not for everybody. I like to talk a lot about the event, the cosmological event called Pluto going into Aquarius, and how that's going to represent a time that there were certain people under certain vibrations, meaning, the astrological signs, and some brethren are going to have a harder time than others moving with the Creator. I got a chance to talk to somebody today. He was wearing an earring and it was a cross, and so the discussion turned to the Creator, and I was just basically talking and telling him how the Creator, he doesn't stay stagnant. Life is not stagnant. We are not stagnant. We move, we progress, we evolve. That's what the OAHSPE is all about as well. The Bible is interesting because it's pretty stagnant when you think about it. Meaning, it keeps you in one place. It doesn't help you to elevate out of your mindset. All that people know who I talk to, who subscribe to the Bible, they just have one mindset: King James Bible, King James Bible. Jesus Christ, Jesus is Lord. And they just stay stuck there and they don't know that they're stuck and ain't nothing you can say. And it's a terrible thing. And so I'm here, my channel. I realize that the creator, he doesn't stay stuck. The creator moves. He moves, he progresses. And I'm finding that we live in a world, you brethren, you faithists. I mean, I hate to say it, but we live in a world of people who are stagnated. And as far as I can see, when you're talking about the creator, when you're stagnated, you're really in a state of decline. If you ain't moving forward, then you're in a state of decline. And that's what creator, he calls us to do right now. I was reading last night, and I forget when I read and study, I read a lot of, I go from, I'm not a disciplined studier, reader of the OAHSPE. I'll start reading something and then I get a subject matter in my mind and then I jump to, I'll go here and go there, and the OAHSPE says to read it straight through and then jump around, and I haven't found the discipline to be able to do that yet. And I was just reading where the creator, he said that I forgot the point that I was going to make. That shows you that you're getting old, man. I forgot the point that I wanted to make. That the creator is showing, he keeps constantly showing you that we are supposed to grow from a mind that it primarily focuses, seeks its own, knows its own, has no other concerns than itself, what it knows, what it understands, what it feels, has no ability to empathize with anyone outside of their own self. That's called childhood. It's called, adolescence, that sort of thing. You really self-focused. You know all you can know and think about is yourself. And when you talk about the creator, it's like a natural progression. You go from that, and then as you get older, you learn that you become a citizen of the world and you have responsibilities not only to yourself, but to other people. And you may begin to have spiritual thoughts and to realize that there's something greater than yourself, and always has been and always will be. And then for a lot of brethren, they get started on their spiritual journey. Some start young, some start middle age, some start in older age. And they start to come into the seed that's in them, start to germinate at different times, basically. And so it's just like in school. You go to school, man, there are brethren, there are people who, some people, they in the, 6th grade, 7th grade, and they taking college prep courses. I mean, they're advanced in their understanding. And it's the same way in the spirit too. You got brethren in the spirit who they are advanced in their understanding so far as the creator is concerned. He's gifted them with the ability to do that. And so these are the brethren, they may be in the 6th, 7th grade, and they taking college prep courses. And I don't want to sound like I'm an elite or anything, but when you read the OAHSPE, that's what you're going to find. I like to look at the OAHSPE from a macro level. First of all, let me introduce my ministries that I have. Here's my mom's food ministry on the screen, where I can be contacted if there is a brother or sister and maybe you have a need, or you have a relative, or someone who is orphaned and who is just maybe disabled or elderly, or brethren or sisters who struggle. And honestly struggle and can use a helping hand. I just want to introduce my mom's food ministry to anyone who knows of someone in that condition. And there's my information, contact information right there. I can certainly be contacted to chip in and help out wherever a good work is being performed. I'm certainly interested in anything that may glorify the Creator, that may help glorify the Creator. I am certainly interested. Whatever the endeavor is, I'm a servant. The Creator has made it clear to me that my job while I'm here in this reality to try to be a benefit whatever way that I can. And so I'm willing. And so there's my contact information. Here's the room that I have on Facebook. There are other rooms where brother can join as well, where you can have fellowship with brother. Here are the rooms right here. And so I recommend them for brother and sister who maybe you are just coming in, you new to the OAHSPE. So these are a couple of rooms where you can go, and I like to share verses and things that I think brother may like to read. So I was, if I may, let me comment real quick on today. And there's a dire. I've been every now and then, I touch on like the reality that we live in, and I've been lately talking about the brewing situation that's going on primarily in the Middle East, and how right now we're not really affected by the things that are going on over there, but there are people who have a spirit on them to watch. And I watch and I keep up geopolitically and events like that because I know that we're going to get touched. Lately, I've been talking about a phenomenon called AG, which is AJI, and you know what? Matter of fact, it'll still be it still wouldn't be a bad idea to look at some more verses on AG before I get to the top of the hour. And I've been talking about it because it applies to what's going on, this applies to what's going on in our reality in this very minute, this very second. If, because AG has to do with events that come on the earth that are, what's a good word for destructive? I guess that was a pretty bad hurricane that happened the other day in Florida, where I think it was called Helen, and did some, it did some pretty bad damage. These type of things I don't look at as an accident. I think that we live where the Creator, He put us in, like these things come and go. And before I forget, brethren, I did figure out if you were watching the video the other day, I was hey bro, hey, thank you. Yes, today is my birthday. Thank you, brother. Thank you for remembering me, man. I really appreciate it. My own brother. The only one I got left, man. Thank you, bro. Thank you for remembering me. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. How you doing? How's horse? Probably eating. Brother, thanks for checking in, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for embarrassing me, bro. Letting the world know I'm getting older. Thank you, bro. Creator bless you. I pray for you all the time. All right, so where was that? Talking about AG, and it was interesting. I did a video a couple of days back, and I just felt inspired to try to learn about AG, try to learn what I could about it, and then I looked at Cal's video, Cosmin Cal's video, the video he did on the new moon that's coming into our orbit, the Earth's orbit, for a couple of days on the 29th. And then he made a comment about, he said something that struck me about the possible consequences of this thing coming in. And okay, bro, I got you. Appreciate it, bro. I really appreciate it. So he said something during his video, Kyle did, and I thought it wasn't no coincidence that I just got finished doing something talking about AG and Gia, and these are situations where the creator, he brings things on the earth. And man, his spiritual grade, he gets so low that creator, he basically brings it as like a something that'll hopefully wake man up and get him to come to his senses and quit going down the path that he's on. And so the brother mentioned something about, Gia, which is another density. It's like the best way I can explain it. When you read the OAHSPE, it's like we here on the earth, it has the travels that it goes through, the roadways of the serpent, I think it's called. The earth travels, it's like going from east to west, let's say, in the spiral, and the planets follow in the spiral. And then along the way, there are different atmospheres, so to speak, where you have there are Ethereal worlds that are subatomic, if I'm not mistaken, and we pass through many, many, many Ethereal worlds out there. And we pass through these different worlds on our travels, and some places along the way, they have these densities where the effect that it has on man is like, it could be like disease or pandemics. And it's like the creator, he directs the path of the earth depending on man's spiritual grade at the time. And so when he gets a little low in his grade, it seems like the creator, he directs the earth into the path of a Gia or an AG. And we just got out of a Gia, from what I understand. A Gia, Giay, is when pandemics, when diseases, these types of things hit the earth. And then after that, AG, a time of great tour, a time of greater affliction comes on the earth. And so right now, we got a situation where the events of the world seem to say that the creator is putting this into a time of AG. And then looking at the brother's video, he made a comment that basically the worst was yet to come. The brother foresaw like banking collapse. He saw like just real chaos. And I don't know if the brother mentioned war or anything like that, but I can see by looking at the horizon that that's the situation. So I just feel minded to tell brethren to try to, to realize that, the earth, what the creator is, it looks like he's doing to it. And so the message for us is to just to really consider, I think that, he really telling us to consider whether or not, to examine ourselves and to always be ready for whatever may befall us. I think that, the best way to be prepared is to like develop a routine where it's natural for you to like make time for the from what I can see. For me, it's different. I have to, like I say, I have to see the creator every day. I got to see him every day so he can stay in my mind, stay in my thoughts, my meditations, so that I can just put up. It's my way of kind of putting up it's my way of kind of putting up a defense against the evil influences that attack you from time to time, is just to leave it no room to breathe. Constantly, just put a wall around your mind in the sense of the things that you occupy it with. Because I look at it as like we're in a warfare where the battle is to hold on to your righteous thoughts and to have a character that is it's able to hold up in tough times, and where it may look like there's nothing, it's you're all by yourself, that sort of thing. I think the Creator, if I may say so, I think He's put on my mind that that for us, our appetite, and it was interesting, when I came out with that a couple of days ago, and then later on that night I was reading, and it talked a lot about what we eat. So this is going to be kind of an uncomfortable video for a lot of people, because I was reading what I'm going to bring out today, and it's pretty convicting, and I don't really like to do that, where a lot of things in the OAHSPE is kind of convicting. I'm talking about for myself too. I mean, there are things in it that the Creator wants us to overcome, things He wants us to deal with. And so a lot of times you read the OAHSPE, it's just not all peaches and cream. It deal a lot with our character. I find that it deal a lot with our character. And so it's like I was just sitting there thinking, and for some reason I started thinking about my appetite and how I got to control it. And because it seems to lead to discipline. And when you have good discipline, when you're able to discipline yourself, it's your character. The Creator that's how He builds up your character. And I think you really home free. If you can work on your character, get your character to a point where you can look the commandments in the face and not feel convicted, because of the commandments. We read about the commandments, and I think that's the holy grail, man. If you can deal, the whole battle that we face is with ourselves, overcoming our desires, overcoming the passions and the influences of the current reality. To me, that's the whole test right there. That most people, they can't take that on, because the realization of the reward is not very great in this reality, and people, they need to be able to see the things that they're working for, or that there are things that they are denying. They need to see reasons why they deny themselves what they call the things that are available to them. And the Creator is like, one of the things that He seems to keep pointing out is that we're on a path of progression. We're headed for the highest spiritual realms, where we called upon to be what the OAHSPE calls self-abnegating. Everywhere I look, I just keep seeing that message, man. I keep seeing it, So I was saying, I forgot, I just remembered, I figured out a way to upload that study, because I think it was yesterday's video. I said I wanted to read from the brother's study that he did. The brother, Dr. Glenn Kendall. Hey, Chuck, I don't know if you're still listening, but he lives right near you, actually. Or maybe not, it might not be real near you, but he lives in Cincinnati. He lives over there in Glenwood. The brother that I'm talking about right now, the brother that I fellowship with on Wednesday, he lives right there. That was kind of surprising. He lives right there in Cincinnati off of Glenwood. I don't know if you know where that's at. But anyway, so here are some things, and I'm going to get to some verses that I posted in my room, but I'm going to look at AG real quick again, because here's where we are. It's the time that we're in. And I like what the doctor said. I was studying his study, and he said that we have, in our lifetime, we have these seasons of good and these seasons of darkness, and it's for our learning. And I think that it's that time for us to learn what real darkness look like. And aging, it can last for a while. And I think it has a opposing, and it has a effect on the righteous, and or I like to say the ripe and the unripe, the ripe and the unripe. It has an effect on them, aging. So let me see if I can find something to comment on. I had been looking at it a couple of days ago, and let me see if I can find something real quick where I can just have a comment on it before I go to my room and talk about some verses that I've been sharing in my room. Now, here's a footnote. This might be interesting. It says, talking about AG, it says, when the earth and her atmosphere traveled through an Aegean swamp, Argean forest, etc. It says, and depending upon densities and warp belts in the Earth's atmosphere, I don't know what warp belts are. It says the Argea is more or less condensed by the Earth vortex, or squeezes them together, makes it a density, a thick density. The vortex, the Earth's atmosphere. It says, and being thus pressed downward toward the Earth, it is somewhat like driving a vehicle through heavy fog. Now, this is talking about Gia and Ag. It says, it seems to the driver to be pressing down on him. This giving us a picture of a driver. He's driving through fog, and fog gets real thick, and it seems to be pressing down on him. It says, thus to the atmosphereans, Ag or Gia appears to be falling or raining or pressing down upon them. Then it says, such pressure, if sustained over a period of decades, can press plateaus closer to Earth, even into it, as can be read about elsewhere in the history portions of OAHSPE. So the density, it comes and then it squeezes the atmosphereans, the heavens, down to the earth, along with the angels and the false gods, and that's where the evil influences come from. It gets greater and greater. Let me see if I can find something else. Ag, a season of time. Creator bring it when man's vibration gets so low, when it get low enough. So let me see if I can find something else to comment on. Now, let me see. Let me go back and see if I can comment on this. There was a footnote that I saw. I think I want to comment on that. Here's another one. Let me read this, and let's see if it can give some clearer understanding on AG. It says, now this is a footnote. Let's see what the footnote is referring to. It's number 1377. So let me find that real quick so I can make a comment on it. It says, I make Gia. So out of 8, let me go up a little bit. It says Gia, which is panic, and Gia, which is gal, different forms of languages. It stands for semi-light. It says these are 3 places in the firmament: light, semi-light, and semi-dark. It says the 4th is corporal. Thus, ether, the most rarefied place; Gia, the 2nd place, less rarefied; Ag, the 3rd place, including nebulous places in the firmament; and 4th, the corporeal worlds, as out of the ether. I make Gia, so out of Ag, I make corporal. Okay, so the different densities. It says beware of evil spirits in the time of Gia, for they shall train the corporal senses of men to believe they lived before. So one of the fruits of life, and remember, if I'm not mistaken, when we had like COVID, the virus that was going around, the understanding that I have is that was a time in disease, pandemics, and uh, plagues, those type of things. That's a time of Gia, like when they had in Egypt the plagues, and a time of Gia. And here at the glossary, it says that it also affects what people believe spiritually. Here it says that beware. It says beware of evil spirits in the time of Gia, for they shall train the corporal senses of men to believe they lived before reincarnation. So it's like a physical effect, and it's like a spiritual effect too. And then it goes on. I'm not going to read it, but I want to read the footnote to see what the footnote, how it's going to add to these definitions. So over here is the footnote. It says, in other words, starting from the rarest condition of the etheric solution. So it's like you got air, and then you got clouds, I mean, the digression is like you have the unseen, and then you have what is seen, and then you have like what is felt. And if I'm not mistaken, the thickness, the densities, they become more and more palpable to the corporal man, the physical man, man in his five senses. It says, in other words, starting from the rarest condition, it's explaining Gia, the time of Gia and AG. It says, in other words, starting from these rarest condition of the etheric solution. Etheric solution. Etheric is like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like the subparticles. It's like the smallest, less dense, however you want to describe it. Atmosphere. Etheric solution. Etheric solution. Unseen, unfelt, it dissolves things. Like you put salt in water, and then the water dissolves the salt to where you can't see the salt no more. It seems to do the same thing. Etheric solution. Etheric solution. It says, by the same process of condensation via a vortex, the denser conditions are formed. As to these various conditions, by analogy, it may help to think of times of Dan as being relatively a clear lens. So it's like 1849, a time of Dan. I don't know if it was a Dan Ha, meaning a time of greater light, or light after a greater light, if I'm not mistaken. Dan Ha. It says, as to the various conditions, talking about Gia and the densities that it forms, it says, by analogy, it may help to think of times of Dan as being a relatively clear lens, Gia, a translucent lens, AG as being dark yet somewhat translucent, and corpor as an opaque lens, can't hardly see out of it. It says another analogy would be that Dan is like a clear day at high noon where you can see for miles. Gia is like looking through a hazy day at dawn. AG is like looking through a heavy fog at sunset and dusk, and corpor is like midnight under a cloudy sky. So there's like a descending ability to see, to rest, for the light to reach, to what's a good way to put it? It's like the ability to comprehend, if I'm not mistaken, the ability to comprehend the light is getting less and less as men decline in their spiritual grade, as they turn more and more to the inability. They can't serve their brother. They can't self-abnegate. They cannot be a benefit to one another. They oppress one another. They war one another, kill one another. Declining spiritual grade, then the atmosphere, it gets that much more denser. And then we just descend till we can't descend no more. Now, brethren who are on the path that ascends, they just get more and more light. They just get more and more light. It says, when the earth and her atmosphere traveled through an Aegean, remember that's wars, chaos, and the breakdown of society, Aegean swamp. It's called an Aegean swamp. When the earth and her atmosphere traveled through an Aegean swamp, or Gan force, etc., and depending upon densities and warp belts in the Earth's atmosphere, the Ag or Gaea, the Gia, and there's Jamia. That's funny, just when I'm mentioning a name similar to hers, and then she comes in. Jamia and Gia. Well, those two are mutually exclusive terms, I'm sure. But hi, Jamia. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Haven't seen you in a while. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Good to see you. Are you still I didn't see you at the Wednesday Bible study. Where were you? Well, it's none of my business, but I was just wondering where you went. Okay, it says the Ag or Gia is more or less condensed by the Earth's vortex. So our atmosphere, the vortex is circling the Earth right now. And I think that, call me, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I know that vortex, every planet has its vortex. And I don't know. It's like when that vortex, that thing that keeps us rotating and keeps us afloat and keeps us going around the sun as the sun spirals on in its path. I think that is saying that if that vortex slows down, then that's nations and people's spiritual grade slowing down. And I think that's what it's saying here. It says that the Ag or Gia is more or less condensed by the Earth's vortex. It says, and being thus pressed downward toward the earth. Okay, well, shoot, we just read this. I just read a little further up, and it's coming back down into where we read before, from what I can see. Yeah, I read this. All right, so basically just saying the same thing, but I didn't realize I was reading above it. So the vortex spinning around the earth, and then it takes the atmosphere, and it depending on if man's spiritual grade continues to go down and fall and that sort of thing, then the atmospheric realms, they come down to the earth with the evil vibrations, and men, it plays out on men's actions. They go to war, or if it's a Gia, then diseases and pandemics. And that's why, there's something in the Bible too that's interesting. There's a verse that comes to my mind in the Bible, and it could be talking about when an Ag or a Gia falls on the earth. Let me see if I can find it. That might be interesting to look at. It shall neither be darkness nor light, King James Version. Now let's see. It's in the Old Testament. So let me try it again. There shall be a day, it shall not be darkness or light, King James Version. Okay, Amos 5:20. Oh, okay, you lost track of time? I was just wondering where you were, that's all. All right, now here's a verse. Here's a verse. It's just coming to my mind. And I think that this could be talking about Ag or Gia in the Bible. I think it could be talking about Ag or Gia, or in the OAHSPE. I'm sorry, in the OAHSPE. Might be interesting to look at, see if we can learn anything, because the Bible's a plagiarism from the OAHSPE. And so this would be interesting. Let me see if I can find it. I'd like to look at this and see what it says about, it plagiarizes from the OAHSPE, and the angels, the powers that be, they have to get truth from the Creator. The problem is they take it, bring it to the earth, give you a little bit, and then they corrupt the places that make you. They carve the message so that you eventually come to them. You come to them. Now, here in Amos chapter 5, it talks about a time of darkness and not light. And I think this is talking about the time of aging. Now, let me see if I can get some understanding out of this and share it with y'all. It says, woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. Okay. Okay. It says, and now he's going to describe it. He's going to describe it. He says, the day of the Lord, it's as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him. Or went to a house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him. Okay, so I'm jumping ahead. In verse 18, it says, woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. He said, to what end is it for you? Because in Christianity, it's like, really, that's where we live. People, they just can't wait, man, until World War III jumps off. It's like they get a big kick out of trying, they did this, they did that, and any day now we're going to, get your popcorn ready. And that's what people seem to think. That's what they see, people, they really seem to act like that. We can't wait. We're going to, like you're going to be immune. Like you're going to get away from it. Like it ain't going to affect you. That's the whole problem right there. You don't think we live in a country. We don't think that. We think that we're going to just sit around and watch as other people destroy themselves and we ain't going to get touched. Now, faithists, they are, from what I can see, they come under some sort of protection. And even the OAHSPE, it says something to that effect, if I'm not mistaken. Are we looking at people, and that's Christianity for you, they just think like, man, I got a ticket that says admit one into the spiritual, I'm safe, everything is, and that's the mind. I don't want to sound harsh, but that's the mindset. I'm safe, you're not. I'm, getting a kick out of your trouble that you're going through. We think like that, and this, I don't want to say we, but that's like the mindset of this country, the Western Hemisphere. It says, woe unto you. It says, for you hope and you wishing for it, man. You talking about, you speculating what they gonna do and this missile and this bomb and who's gonna start doing this to who, and that's the spirit of this country. People want some excitement in their life. They look forward. They're like who were these people called in the New Testament? They were always looking for some new thing, they something to get off on, need some thrill. And the here, and I think that you can that this is faithful to the mind of the Creator. For people who are under that type of spirit, that type of vibration, he says, woe unto you. that desire the day of the Lord. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. I think that's something that's, I can see how the Creator, that can harmonize with what the Creator would think and say to man. What do you, who are you to celebrate what, the evil that might come upon you? What are you looking forward to that for? You're out of your mind, man, And then here it says, the day is the Lord is darkness and not light. How do you like that? And then it says, as if a man did flee. Now, it's talking about a steady digression. Now, the OAHSPE calls it AG and Gia. And it's like he's describing it now. Verse 19, he says, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him. How do you like that? Picture that. Or he went to his house. Oh, I'm tired, man. Honey, what's for dinner? And he leaned his hand upon the wall and a serpent bit him. And then verse 20 says, shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light? Even very dark and no brightness in it. So it's like Gia, that's Gia right here. If I'm not mistaken, man, that sounds like Gia right there. Look at that. It's darkness, but it's not light. And then AG comes, that's very dark and no brightness in it, it's described as. So it comes to my mind, I'm sharing it, and we in that time right now. And so this is something to pay attention to. That's my whole point right there. That's all. That's my whole point. Pay attention, man. We got, this is a time for us to pay attention, brethren. We don't know. I mean, from what I read in the Washington, now call me, you call me whatever you want, but I read where, Creator, before he sunk Pan, he told the faithless to build ships. And they got delivered. Remember, he told them build, they built 12 ships or 12,000 of them out of 24 billion people, man. Do y'all know that? I mean, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, man. Am I not right? How many people died in Pan? How many did he sink? How many, 20, was there 24 billion? Am I right? 12,000 something people made it out. I'm sorry to be saying these things, man. See, I look at it, I don't let it slide in my mind. I take it for real. And then he told them fake this, hey, build an ark, man. Of course, the Bible calls it the story of the flood. And he delivered them. Telling you, brother, we in that time right now. It don't look like nothing. It ain't got our attention. We live in a reality where this place here don't like the truth. Where we live in the Western Hemisphere, they leading the way. Do you know they don't like the truth? We live in a place where the truth don't get out, man, because the truth hurt. It hurt, man. It's only certain spirits that can deal with it. They want to hear it. They want the smoke, man. I want the smoke. I want to be forewarned. I want to know if there's something that I can do to deliver myself. It says here in the Bible, shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light? That's Gia. It says even very dark and no brightness in it. That's age and corporality. That's like the light it ain't gonna be heard. Ain't nobody gonna listen. There ain't no, ain't nobody gonna listen to it. It's gonna be dark and no brightness in it, Now, again, I'm looking at the Bible here, and I think that the false gods and lords and angels, they get their information from heavenly, from Etherian schools. And then they use it, they give you a little bit, and then they corrupt it and making you worship them, infiltrating truth with doctrines that point you to the worship of man. So as far as this part here, I think that they spilling the beans and they telling some truth of talking about this day that we in right now. And he calls it the day of the Lord, the day of the Lord. Now, I could be wrong, but that's my best, highest light understanding that I'm trying to share. The day of the Lord. See, and then the way mankind is, he don't really wake up. I like something that Mike Tyson said. You got to commend him for his ability to hit home with his words. They're very raw. But he really knows how to make a point, even though he don't speak right. The sentences are all discombobulated, but he has this ability to speak and you get it. Now, I remember one time he said, now I'm going to be vulgar here, okay? I'm going to say exactly what he said. You might get a kick out of it, but I'm going to say it with the force that he said it with. Now, he said a nigger don't know nothing until he get punched in the face. I'm sorry, I gotta laugh. It makes me laugh. He said a nigger don't know nothing until he get punched in the face. I'm sorry, man. But he is so right, man. Now, I look at it as nigger being everybody, mankind in general. I'm using that definition for I'm using it for everybody. Okay, as in the Uzzians. You don't learn until all of a sudden you get affected. The creator, he ain't really important until it hit you in the face. The creator, he don't really mean anything. He ain't got, until he hit you in the face. See, same thing go in relationships, man. And I've seen it, where if a woman think that, I can't speak for every woman, but the situations I've been in, like if the girl, she feels it's falling apart, she'll start warning you. I mean, I can't speak for every woman, but the situations I've been in, there are certain warnings that go out, that we in trouble here. The situation is problematic. They'll do something. They'll send signals that we got a situation. Well, it's the same with the creator. That's why I'm talking and saying the things I'm saying. You see. And this is how the creator, he come on the world. They don't know it. Because Gia and Ag, these are subatomic densities that come on man and influence him. The vortex, it condenses these atmospheres, if you want to call it that, and they got an effect on us. That's why that new moon coming on the 29th or whatever, that object that's going to enter Earth's orbit, that could mean something. It's supposed to happen on the 29th. The new moon is the 3rd. There's a new moon on the 3rd of October. There's some type of object coming. They're calling it a moon coming on the 29th. Could affect our vibration one way or another. We don't know. We supposed to look out, watch out, man. Don't fall asleep. Look, wait, watch. Don't go to sleep. Pay attention. See, even fake this, man, So let me go back to my room real quick. I'm running out of time. It's about time for the reading of the word. I wanted to show some verses that I've been sharing in the OAHSPE in the different rooms that I am a part of. Now, here's one. It says, "Do not be confounded with abstruse reasoning, meaning they're hard and vague and open-ended. Creator says, cut all things short. Cut the fat, man, in life, in faith. Cut the fat, man. Cut out the BS, let's get to the meat of it, and then let's dedicate to that. Let's get to the meat of all things, All right, you want to argue about whether, this, the Creator said, cut that out. Stop that, It's not, I forgot to share the tab. Oh, there it is right there. I was reading this right here. It says, and look at that, just like that. It took it away from me. I'm not surprised. Here it is. Do not be confounded with abstruse. And, abstruse, it means like, let me look at it real quick. The definition, abstruse, it means like to deflect, it means to distract. It means difficult to understand, obscure. Creator says, don't get involved with that, man. Just learn what is, the important thing. Creator says, do not be confounded with hard to understand, reasonings. Cut all things short, man. Cut the fat. Godlike. Learn of the Creator and his creations. There is nothing more. It says, you are one of the seeds of Jehovah and were planted by his hand. Be free from the whole world. And then there's another verse. It says, from your own blood, your spirit shall be inspired, even according to what your blood contains. See, that's why the reading is going to be kind of hard, brethren. I'm going to tell you right now, for you meat eaters, it's going to be kind of tough on you. I feel the need to want to apologize. I don't like, it's rough enough on us as it is. We trying to go against the world. And I realize that it's a difficult thing the Creator is asking us to do with it seems to keep coming up in my face, and now I'm inspired to read from, it's going to talk a lot about meat eating, and I don't want to offend brethren. It's the word of the Creator, it's the light, and I certainly can see the reasoning behind it. It makes sense. Here, this verse, it says, from your own blood, your spirit shall be inspired. So our blood inspires us. What we charge it with is another matter. It says, even according to what your blood contains. So what we put in our blood, we're going to become like what we put in our blood. You see, well, you brethren already know this, I know. And I can't apologize for bringing it to your attention, but it's like, I think the Creator, he inspires me, and I have to do what I'm told, what I believe I'm told, even if it's condemning, if it convicts me. A lot of these things, they convict me too. I'm sitting up here reading these things, I get convicted too. Here's another one. It said, woman said, behold, I do not kill any lamb, bird, or fish. Others kill them, but I eat them. The Creator is basically saying that won't fly. That type of mind, even that won't fly. He says, I created all the living so that like would attract like. See, that's the law that we live under. That's why you have societies and groups and people gather around common interests. It says, whoever makes himself carnivorous cannot escape conflict, contention within his own members, soul and body inspiration, or soul and body. It's from the book of inspiration. So it's time for the reading of the word. See, brethren, these are warnings, man. Man, the Creator, I'm going to be reading stuff, man, and it's going to be a bit difficult, man, what I'm going to read. I'm just kind of warning you, man, you brethren. I mean, the Creator, he ain't no joke, man. You know what I'm saying? So here's a couple more things. You can read it if you want, and stop the video. And I'm going to go ahead. It's time for the reading of the word. So here's something that I didn't get a chance to get to, and this comes from the study the brother did that I wanted to share. I wanted to share his study. And so I didn't get a chance to do that. The creator, he gave me the idea. He gave me the wisdom. Remember, I was asking on video for the wisdom on how to upload the study so that you could see it on the screen. And I didn't get it right there on video. But then right afterwards, he gave it to me. He gave me the understanding. Real simple. I do it all the time. He just said copy and paste it. Put it in Facebook. Copy and paste it, Put it on Facebook. I was so stuck on trying to show the screen on the computer, and that's the creator, man. I'm telling you, that happens to me all the time, man. Ask and you'll receive. Ask and you'll receive, man. Ask and you'll receive. Now, I'm just showing you from the studies that I wanted to read from. I'm not going to read it because time for the reading of the word. You can stop the video and look at some of the things I'm trying to share. I want to read these things, but I want to be. I know a lot of brethren may come on the video at the top of the hour. You don't want to hear me do any monologue or anything. You just want to get to the reading, and I can dig it. So I'll just real quick show you these. All right, good enough. Let's go for the reading now. Let's go for the reading. The reading is called Book of Inspiration, chapter 12, I think it is. I think it's Book of Inspiration, chapter 12. Yeah, it is. Book of Inspiration, chapter 12. Now, again, brethren, this going to be, I don't want to hurt you, man, This going to be, I'm sure you, brethren, you probably already, this chapter. And this is the word of the creator. And I think that it's going to be a bit painful to read this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. It's not my will that I want to do. I want to do the creator's will. And so I came, this seemed to grab me and to read it. And so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Now, this is a chapter right here. It's from the Book of Inspiration. And may the creator bless the reading of his word. Now it says, now I should go up a little bit. I'd like to go up a little bit. Because it's all good, man. The reading, it's like all the stuff he says here. Let me start up here. It says, let all men hear me in their own way. I like that. Let all men hear me in their own way. See that? No man shall follow another. I love it. I love it. The reason why I even have to say that is because you know that when you come to men, they're going to always want someone to follow them. It's in their heart. It's something that, they, you know what I mean? Creator, he says, I won't have no sect. I will have no creed. I am not exclusive. But I am with all my creatures, all my living creatures. And I know that that's true too. There's when you study the leaders of history of different nations and the infamous ones along with the not so infamous ones, it's like they have that common desire, man. They want to, the Tetrat to be the leader of men is very strong in them. They want to be a leader of men, And the creator says, I'm not exclusive. I'm with all my living creatures. And men like to gather people to themselves. They just love it, man. Fallen angels, fallen gods. That was a vibration even they couldn't overcome. See, that's how addictive it can be. Love in different forms. It can be a destructive thing, man. The desire for it, the attaining of it. Love, 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 love. It says, to those who choose me, practicing their all highest light. That's the most important thing right there. That's the most important thing right there. Practicing your highest light, sincerity and truth. Now you home free. He says, to those who they choose me, practicing their all highest light. He said, I'm a shield and a fortification against all darkness, against all evil and contention. Practicing your all highest light, being true to yourself, Just be true to yourself, man. And then the world, they can't touch you. You home free now. You doing what's in your heart. Can't no man condemn you. And you're sincere about it. It says, "You shall not establish me by man's laws, nor by government of man," says Jehovah. He said, "Nor establish by man's laws or government any book or revelation, saying, Behold, this is Jehovah's book." So you see how the OAHSPE creator, he don't let you try to make the OAHSPE an authority. How do you like that? Creator, he don't give us no power to try to rule over other people using the OAHSPE. Isn't that something? That is freedom. That's ultimate maximum freedom that he's talking about here. He says to keep man from interfering. He says, he said, "You shall not establish me by man's laws, nor by the government of man," says Jehovah. He says, "Nor establish by man's laws or government any book of revelation, saying, Behold, this is Jehovah's book." To keep man from interfering with man, this has been great labor. It says to teach man to comprehend liberty, especially as to thought and knowledge. This has been a great labor. For he falls easily under inspiration of his surroundings and falls under the teachings and persuasions of his brother. See, I did a video on prophets, preachers, pastors who like to commercialize the gospel, commercialize the word of God. The gospel for sale. They know this secret. They know this secret right here in the OAHSPE, verse 13, chapter 11, book of inspiration. They know this secret. For he falls easily under the inspiration of his surroundings and falls under the teachings and persuasions of his brother. And they bold enough to say, "Hey, look, all I got to do, I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of people. I'm going to live the good life." I remember Creflo Dollar's wife. They gave her the mic, and man, she got up there and start, what's her name, Tammy or Taffy or something. And she got a hold, they gave her that mic, man, and she got up there and said, "I'm going to get my money." She got into the flesh. And they started clapping and applauding, and she was nearly hysterical. "I'm going to get my money." Man falls easily under the teachings and persuasions of his brother. It says, "Because he comes from my hand into the world in innocence, a helpless infant, and his elder brothers take advantage of his innocence and teach him their own knowledge instead of directing him to me." Yep. Instead of directing him to me. A man, he will take what is rightly the Creator's and try to give it to himself. It's like in the world today, some guys, they try to cheat and take other guys' girlfriends. See, that same spirit is in the world, or vice versa. That's a spirit. That's a spirit in man, He wants to take his elder brother take advantage of his innocence, his brother's innocence, and teach him their own knowledge instead of directing him to the Creator. It says, "And his elder brothers were in darkness themselves, and their elder brothers before them." I said to man, be free. Learn to know liberty. Think for yourself. Study your Creator in all things and in yourself in particular. See, ultimate freedom, man, ultimate freedom, man. Everybody, every time you turn around, somebody trying to put you in bondage. That's where we live. Do this, do that, do it my way. Do it because I know I'm smarter than you. Taking authority over people, you got no right. You ain't got no right trying to take authority over anybody. All you can do is suggest, make suggestions. Creator says, "Turn away from your elder brothers. Come to the all-highest fountain. Do not be confounded with abstruse." Remember, that's hard to understand, incomprehensible. type of arguments and reasonings. Hard to understand. It's convoluted, cryptic, incomprehensible, redundant. It's clear as mud. You know, you gotta love it, man. The creator, be free, man. You know, there's freedom in me with responsibility. He says, do not be confounded with abstruse reasoning. Cut all things short. God, this is what I posted in the room. Learn of the creator and his creations. There is nothing more. You are one of the seeds of Jehovah and were planted by his hand. Be free from the whole world. Now, here's the reading, chapter 12, inspiration. It says, of all my created animals, only man I created not perfect in his order. In his order, says Jehovah. He says, I created him as the most devoid of knowledge and the most helpless of animals. I did not give the bird capacity to improve her feathers, nor yet to improve her species, nor did I give her a book either on how to build her nest or regarding her behavior with other birds. He said, nor did I say to the hare, beware the fox, or go teach your young to depend on their fleetness. He says, and yet birds and beasts move by my inspiration perfectly in order I made them. The bird does her work, and the hare flees from the fox, the rabbit. But the child of man will put his finger in a serpent's mouth, and the child will also eat any deadly poison. Thus I created man differently from all the other things on earth, but I gave him the foundation upon which he could attain to perfection and all the attributes of my other living creatures. Well, let's read the footnote. That's a very interesting statement. It says, for example, Native Americans, the totem was to represent the best features of the chief creatures, each creature being appointed and so represented by a clan whose labor was to perfect in themselves the particular qualities of the designated creature. So you have the eagle, and you want to mimic its I don't know, what are the positive attributes of the eagle? I don't, king of birds. I mean, but how do you emulate that? It has a certain majesty, but how do you emulate that? It has a certain grandeur, but how do you emulate that? But I imagine it's probably one of the entities on the totem pole. Let's look at the totem pole. Let's see what it looked like. How about that? Let's see what a totem pole looks like. Because here the OAHSPE says that the Native Americans, the totem was to represent the best features of chief creatures. So these are pictures that are on the totem pole that they wanted to mimic the best characteristics. So let's look at a totem pole. See, here are the totem poles. Now, it's got a lot of images on it. You see a bird mainly. And these are beasts of the field. And mainly, I mean, you can't really tell what's on them. It's hard to see what's on them. But they mimic the reason why they have different faces on the totem pole. The OAHSPE says is because they were to mimic these creatures, their highest characteristics. And so that's where totem poles come from. Now, here's one. It's got a bunch of faces, but these probably represent famous leaders or something to that effect that they want to remember and emulate, but they all look the same here, So anyway, I don't know, the OAHSPE says that they had a reason for the totem pole. And so let me see, where am I? Let me get back to where I was. Let's see, where was I? Let me see. I lost where I was. I lost my reading, so I got to get it back. All right. Right here. Or nope, that's not it. Okay, this is it right here. Let me share it. Make sure I'm sharing it. Okay, got it back. All right. So let me fix my screen real quick. Okay, so it says, and I said to man, be observant of what you shall eat and drink, and where you shall dwell by day and sleep by night. It says, for all things shall write upon your soul the character, kind of which they are made. It says, if you'll be gentle like a lamb and non resistant and docile, so you can obtain a great knowledge, feed upon herbs, fruits, and cereals. Let me read that again. It says, if you will be gentle like a lamb and non resistant and docile, so you can obtain great knowledge, feed upon herbs, fruits, and cereals. Again, man, that's not easy to do, you know. He says, and your blood shall be pure and cool and charged with food for your spirit and peace and love, eating herbs, fruits, and cereals. He says, and your blood shall be pure and cool and charged with food for your spirit and peace and love. He says, but if you will be ferocious like a carnivorous beast, then you shall feed upon flesh and fish, and your blood shall be hot, and your spirit shall be stirred with passion, anger, contention, tattling. Passion, anger, contention, tattling, war, jealousy, love, and vengeance. The fruits of meat eating. Eating meat, man, really? He says, but if you will be ferocious like a carnivorous beast, then you shall feed upon flesh and fish. Your blood shall be hot, and your spirit shall be stirred with passion, anger, contention, tattling, war, jealousy, love, and vengeance. It says, for whatever you charge your blood with shall be charged with upon your spirit. Isn't that something? It says, because you cannot feed on fish or flesh except through destruction to death, even so destruction to death shall come upon your soul. From your own blood, your spirit shall be inspired, even according to what your blood contains. He says, as through your corporal part is nurtured, so through the gaseous atmospheric part, your spirit is nurtured. And then I shared this in the room. Woman said, behold, I do not kill any lamb, bird, or fish. Others kill them, but I eat them. He says, to kill my lambs and birds and whatever I created alive is a simple act. Says Jehovah, let no man waste much speech because of such destructions. In other words, he's saying, don't try to get away with it, that reasoning, that type of reasoning. The footnote says, note that this does not set aside the admonition against killing. He says, for as sown, so reaped. It still applies. He says, it is a contamination of the blood by man by carnivorous food, upon which you shall ponder. Think about it. I created all the living so that like would attract like. Whoever makes himself carnivorous cannot escape conflict, contention within his own members, soul, and body. It says, until the earth was circumscribed, I gave man carnivorous food. Today I make it poison to him. That's where we are now. He said, until the earth was populated. Let's look at what circumscribed means. It means to restrict something within limits, to keep within bounds, to curb, delimit, self-impose, limits on, limit, restrict. So let's read that again. Let me see, circumscribe. Okay. The Creator says, until the earth was restricted, until it was delimited, until it was like set free, until it was like released. He gave man carnivorous food today. So basically, for a time, the Creator, he allowed it. Until he set it free, so to speak. Then he commanded men to stop being carnivorous, which is cosmic error. He said, I make it poison to him. He makes carnivorous food now poisonous to man. Now, again, man, you eat it, and doesn't mean you're going to die, but he's speaking spiritually that it's going to affect this, to blunt the spiritual growth. It sounds like what he's saying. And then verse 22, he says, a man shall turn away from it, talking about carnivorous food. He said, a man shall turn away from it, and the smell of it shall sicken him. And the sight of blood shall fill him with horror. Look at this. It says, and the butcher shall be ashamed of his vocation, his job. His neighbor shall say to him, you stink of blood. He talking about carnivorous. He talking about eating of meat, flesh, and fish. And, the other day, the Secretary General of the World Health Organization, he came out with a decree that our diet has to change. I don't know if y'all heard that. That guy, Tedros, or whatever his name is. Let's see. Let me see if I can bring up the article. Check this out. Y'all might not have heard of this. World Health Organization head says that we need to start plant food. Isn't this something? Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, the Director General of the World Health Organization, has called for a global shift to plant-based diet. So this is a guy that was behind the jab. And so he fell out of favor with me. But on this, he's right. I mean, well, he's at least, in agreement with OAHSPE. I don't know why he's advocating this. I think that when world governing bodies start advocating things, I don't think it's a good thing. It says he made this statement in a videotaped address at the COP28 in December 2023, where he said that the current food system is harming the health of people on this planet. So it's interesting he's coming out with this. And the OAHSPE is commanding men to turn from a carnivorous diet to a herbivorous diet. So it's interesting now he's coming out with this, and he's harmonizing with the OAHSPE. Says the butcher shall be ashamed of his vocation. His neighbor shall say to him, you stink of blood. Because you gave us flesh, we also drank the drunkenness. Because you gave us flesh, we also, look at that, smoked and took narcotics. See, this is a hard chapter, man. OAHSPE is condemning smoking and taking narcotics. It's condemning it. And I have to think that Creator is saying it'll affect your spiritual vibration. And then it says, the people say, because you gave us flesh, we are rotten with catarrh and wasted in the lungs. So the effect, catarrh, mucus, phlegm, rheum, and plain mucous membranes. It says, because you gave us flesh, we are rotten with catarrh and wasted in the lungs. Because we feasted on flesh, Jehovah answered us in corruptible flesh. It says, lo, we stink from the sole of our feet to the crown of our heads. Man, this is a hard chapter. It's pretty hard, man. It says, and our offspring are born into the world, so helpless and corrupt, and half of them die in infancy. Joey said, when I command the nations of the earth to peace, behold, I raise my hand above the carnivorous head. So he's saying that, oh shoot, I forgot to share it and share the tab. Sorry about that, brother. I was reading this right here. I started up here. And now I'm down here. So I forgot to read that. Forgot to share the tab. Okay, so he says, as there was a time when I created every animal perfect in its order, so also shall such a time come to man. And now is the dawn of that time. Therefore I named it cosmic. He says, as the spider learns to build her web without a book, and the beast dwell in queendom and peace and industry without books, written laws and instructions on how to do this and that. Even so now is a new birth to the generations of my people. He says, by my direct inspiration upon them, they shall learn to do all things perfectly in the order of man for which I created him. Man shall know how to do things easily without the long labor of books and without being shown or instructions given. Sound like Pluto going into Aquarius. Sounds like the increase in knowledge and technology. Man shall know how to do things easily. And without the long labor of books, without being shown or instructions given. Great increase in man's learning. That's the opposite effect of aging. Aging, Gia, where instead of destruction and chaos is the increase in the faintness and their understanding. As dual effects. Gia, Ag, dual effects. It says, as of old I commanded you to have dominion over every living thing I created. So now I command you to take the earth and the waters of the earth and the air above the earth to your dominion also. So to do our bidding. How do you like that? That sounds like what he's saying. That I don't know how you can do that. You know, some people may like sunshine, others like stormy weather. So how does that work? I mean, is it a local thing? And I'd like to know how that works. He says, as of old, I commanded you to have dominion over everything, and I created. So now I command you to take the earth and the waters of the earth and the air above the earth and to your dominion also. How do we do that? He says, and you shall rule over them that drive away the heat. Okay, actually, you know, this is something that the brother in the study that I was wanting to share with us the other day, he said, he cleared it up, like verses like this, where it says, you shall rule over the elements, these elements, the earth and the air and the dominion of, let me see, how does the Creator put it? It says we were going to have dominion over waters of the earth and the air above the earth. And then it says that you shall rule over them to drive away the heat. That's why you have like air conditioning. Air conditioning drives away the heat and bring the cold, you know, like right now I have a heater going. It drives away the cold. To drive away the cold. So this is the Creator's word coming to life. He says that to bring the heat as you will for the benefit of all the living. And I know it doesn't end there, but this is already something that's coming to pass in our day. It's, you know, let's find, when was the heater invented? When was heat and heaters invented? Let's see. When was the space heater invented? 1905. How do you like that? That's after the cosmic era. See, Creator telling the truth. He was going to give men the wisdom to be able to, as he says in what we're reading here, you'll be able to drive away the cold and bring the heat for the benefit of all the living. It's interesting to see the Creator, his words come to pass like that. It's interesting to see it. You shall rule over them, drive away the heat, bring the cold, drive away the cold, bring the heat as you will, for the benefit of all the living. It says, to accomplish which you shall now, first of all, adapt yourself to the Creator, according to my highest light upon you. To put away your own disharmony in your blood, flesh, and in your soul, opening the way for my inspiration to come direct to you so that you may be one with me. How do you like that? So to see his word come to life like that. And so, but also the warning. Now that will conclude the reading of the word. See, this was a hard chapter, wasn't it? But you got to know, man, I'm telling you, it's like we're the generation called upon to take on this type of work, this type of discipline. It's going to get to the point where the generations after us, this is all they're going to know. They're not going to know anything about eating of flesh and that sort of thing. And this is a tough call, man, to be able to, obey this commandment. I admit. He wants us to do it, and it's for our own sake, for our own good. Pretty much, it was a pretty easy to understand lesson tonight. Let me put the link in the room. That will conclude the reading of the word. Let me see if anyone would like to come up and share anything. I admit, man, it's kind of hard reading stuff like that. You don't want to read things bring brethren down, or that they probably struggling with it. And you don't want to remind them of something, that I know I don't want to. So there's a link, brethren. I'm going to keep the room open for, say, like a minute or so. Let's see if anybody wants to share anything. I know that I stopped eating meat in January when I came into the OAHSPE, and I found out that that was the Creator's will. But I have to be honest, man, I lust for it in my heart. Just to be honest. And I know, it takes time. I know it takes time before you can really, really hit your stride. But I do think that the benefit is Creator spiritually gives you. I think that there is a benefit, plain and simple. I might not be able to detail it, but I think that that's the way the Creator works. And sometimes you don't know that you have been under a blessing or a growth until you look back. It's just like pictures. You see, you were young and you're older now. And you can only know, but you get to a point and then you look back and then you see that you have grown. I think it's the same way. The Creator, you telling us to do this, and tomorrow he could be telling us to do that. And to me, that's part of the growth process. But I think that the reward is priceless. I think that the payoff, that's why we're faithless. You brethren, in your heart, you brethren know. See, I'll just say it. There's a payoff. You brethren, that there's a payoff. I don't like to really talk like that, because it's kind of enticing. It's kind of, we not faithless, in order to be paid. Is we faith this because we are. We can't help ourselves. That's what we are. But a benefit is that we know what, I don't want to call it a payoff, but we know the plans that the Creator has in store for us, for having called us into this light, and the purpose that he had for us. The Creator, he knows. And too, you have some idea in your heart too, That's why we in this thing. And it might not we might not see it now, but that's part of the testing that, walking by faith, the earth talks about, walking by faith, not by sight. And now you can see that a diamond, is made by lots of friction. So we're in the situation, but, we're going to look up, and we're going to be looking at when we were going through this situation. So Brethren, okay, that's the best I can do for today. You know, it was again, that lesson was pretty sobering lesson. You know, it is the will of the Creator. Nothing that we can do about that, but trust and know that it's for our benefit. So that's the best I can do, brethren. If nobody wants to come on and share anything, then I can go ahead and close the video. No videos on the weekend. Creator willing, be back Monday. And so, brethren, thank you for joining me. Appreciate your company. Want to give thanks to the Creator for this opportunity to try to be a light while I'm in this reality. Pray for a covering on us and a protection from the events of the activities of mankind in the world today. Creator, that you reveal yourself to us in a way to encourage our souls and to lay a good foundation as we wait for the whatever your will is for our life, that you give us the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to endure anything that you have planned. And so, brethren, appreciate you. Thank you for joining me. And until I see you again Monday on Video Creator Willing, peace be unto you. Shalom.